And now from ETSU, please welcome to the stage Annie Malcolm.
All right, good morning, everybody. So I want to start by just asking you a question. Do you all know what a sign of true friendship is? I can tell you that it's that your friends are willing to give you their poop. And that's what I asked of my friends one summer for a research project. Some people in college are in pursuit of their BA, and some their MS, some maybe even their MRS, but I was on the pursuit of BMs. My passion for nutrition led me down this smelly pathway. Though I'd always had an interest in the subject, I arrived at ETSU unsure of what I wanted to do and really hadn't considered it as a career. There seems to be this misconception, one that even I was originally deterred by, that nutrition is an easy degree. Its roots are in home economics, which is often viewed as a less than serious pursuit. A stigma started in the early years of the profession that linked it to an image of a spinster lunch lady in a hairnet. And maybe this image is why more men aren't in the profession. After all, dietetics is almost 95% female dominated. And maybe this stigma is one thing that's hindered the profession from gaining a more scholarly reputation. Nutrition, though, is more than simply fruits and vegetables. It's rooted in science and intricate components. But let's get back to what you all really want to hear about, the poop. Last spring, I approached Dr. Andrew Clark, the Associate Dean of Research for my college, about working with him in the lab. He was happy to have extra help and already kind of had a project idea in mind. The idea was to explore the gut microbiome and the differences in it in normal weight compared to overweight and obese college students. Recently, there's been increased interest in the gut microbiome that has shown it to play an enormous role in health and disease prevention. So what is your gut microbiome? Well, very simply put, it's all of the bacteria, both good and bad, in your large intestine. And it plays a role in your immune health, in your gut health, and in the digestion of fiber. And it can even play a role in your mental health, which is one reason that the microbiome has been called the second brain of the body. You see, your gut is communicating to your brain through chemical signals that are produced through fermentation. And researchers have even suggested that certain probiotics in diet could actually help in curing chronic mental health issues such as depression and PTSD. My research was focused specifically on modifying an analytical procedure that would work in our nutrition lab to measure the short-chain volatile fatty acids in the feces of these college students. And we wanted to do this through gas chromatography. Now, for the Eastman chemist in the room, I'm sure you've seen these before, acetate, propionate, and butyrate, but I bet you haven't talked about them in the context of poop before. These are short-chain volatile fatty acids, and we're just going to call them VFAs, and they are produced through the fermentation of fiber in the colon. And we wanted to measure these VFAs through gas chromatography. Gas chromatography works by separating compounds based on their different boiling points. And you can see on this is a gas chromatogram. We had one of these for each of our samples. And the peaks that you see represent detections of different VFAs. And we were just measuring each acid as a percent area under the curve. So we were looking at the percentage of one acid compared to the whole of the VFAs present in each sample. So like I said, we had one of these for each one of our samples, and though they all followed a certain trend, everybody's was different. So it's kind of like you have your own unique fingerprint for your gut, we'll say. And again, the goal of my research was to kind of look at these differences between students of different BMIs. And we also wanted to see how fiber impacted this, both the type and the amount of fiber impacted the VFA profile of their feces. So obviously, this meant that I had to get poop. Not only was this my first time putting poop in a cooler, it was also my first time getting a speeding ticket. I thought that driving a little bit faster to get back to the lab in time so that samples wouldn't unthaw in my car was a pretty good excuse, but apparently not. Despite this unfortunate event, my research was definitely worth it. We found that there is in fact a difference in the BFA profiles between normal weight and overweight or obese college students. Our results indicated that the normal weight group had a more diverse BFA profile, while the overweight obese group had a higher total concentration of BFAs. If you look at the images here, these obviously aren't actual pictures of BFAs, but it's just a visual representation. If you look at the normal weight picture, you can see that there's several different colors, but it doesn't take up that much room. There's not that many dots. Now, for the overweight obese group, there's only a few different colors, but there's a lot of them. And this is important. Your BFA profile is important because, it plays a role in health and disease prevention. And it's being shown that a person's BFA profile can play a role in the development of obesity and in appetite regulating hormones. And this plays out in situations where the feces of a healthy lean person is actually encapsulated and given to an obese person. Over time, the obese person's BFA profile begins to look more like that of the lean person, and then eventually that obese person will actually start to lose weight. And it's also being shown that the diversity in a BFA profile can help a person be more resilient to certain disease states. And that makes you wonder, how can I diversify my own microbiome? And how can I improve my gut health? One very simple way is to eat plenty of fiber-rich foods. Ideally, you want to have both soluble and insoluble fiber in your diet on a daily basis, or on a regular basis. So, soluble fiber is found in things like blueberries, cucumbers, oats, and nuts, and it's going to help to lower your cholesterol, and that will help to lower your risk of heart disease. And then insoluble fiber is found in green leafy vegetables, and it's going to help to speed along your digestion and add to fecal bulk for healthy elimination. Now, one thing that my research taught me is that there's still a lot of work to be done in the area of nutrition. Nutrition is science, and our image of all that it encompasses needs to be revised. The inadequacy in our nutrition education was made clear to me during my time working with kids. When asked very simple questions such as, "Can you give me an example of a vegetable?" I think the answer they gave me was peanut butter, which, is funny, sounds funny, but it's really pretty concerning. These were fourth graders, and they could do long division, but they couldn't recognize a vegetable. The Board of Education and Practice, they indicated in their journal that 15 hours of nutrition education over the course of a school year is needed to show impact in a child's learning in the area. But 50 hours of nutrition education over the course of a school year is needed to show an impact in that child's attitude and their behaviors. Right now, elementary schools, as expected, are the biggest participants in nutrition education programs compared to middle and high schools, but they're only sitting at about 13 hours on average for a school year. Now, 50 sounds like a lot, but nutrition can be integrated into so many different subjects, and not just health and physical education. Nutrition can be integrated into history and social studies, into mathematics, and of course, science. By the end of my time working with the fourth graders, not only were they able to recognize a vegetable, but they could categorize foods. And they could tell you what nutrients were in them and what those nutrients would do for their bodies. These kids knew by the end that nutrition is science. But seeing them learn these new things and gain this new knowledge wasn't the best thing. It was seeing them make different choices at meals. They would ask me, "Miss Annie, is this going to make me run faster today?" Or just encouraging their friend to try something new with them. So they really did know nutrition is science. So why is it not treated like an academic subject in schools? It's one of the few subjects that every person will be using every day of their lives. Starting nutrition education early gives children the tools that they need to better maintain both physical health and mental health, and start those healthy habits that are hopefully going to last a lifetime. We need to be having more of these research-oriented, evidence-based conversations about nutrition in our communities, in our schools, and in our own homes. The research that I've talked to you about today probably is not what you would have thought about before when thinking about nutrition. And there's really so much more that we have to learn. But it's amazing to me the discoveries that are being made so close to home here at ETSU that are driving transformation in research. It's so important for researchers to be communicating with not only healthcare professionals, but also educators and the public in order to fuel insight about new information so that we can better maintain healthier lives. Thank you, and I'll be waiting at the bathroom.